Hello and welcome to our Estate Professional Spotlight and Q&A series. My name is Nordis Forcade-Martin. I am the founder and CEO of Florida Probate Partners, a real estate team that specializes in working with probate attorneys, professional guardians, and trust officers in helping them sell the real estate assets involved in their cases. During this series, we delve into the intricacies of probate and estate planning, and we do this with the goal of educating our community by showcasing the professionals who are problem solvers in this arena. As serious as this topic is, we like to bring light to these conversations, so do expect to have some fun. Welcome to our show. Today, we have the pleasure of having Gretta Zutz, Financial Specialist at Center for Wealth Preservation. Gretta, welcome to our show.
Nordis, thank you for having me. So excited to be here with you today.
Thank you. So let's dive right in. Gretta, according to a 2022 survey by Caring.com, more than half of Americans do not have a will. Just 33% of U.S. adults have estate planning documents, such as a will or a living trust. Why is this an issue?
Well, when everything started 2019, if we remember into 2020, quite a tumultuous year, we saw a little uptick in estate planning. You maybe even saw this with your business in things, documents being held, clients and families and business owners sort of getting that proverbial life plan together, whether it was a will or power of attorney, healthcare proxy, other things like that. But then we've kind of reverted back to thinking nothing's going to happen to us, or thinking that we have a lot of time to do this type of planning. And it is an issue because what you want for your estate ultimately cannot just live in your head. It does need to be documented. Depending on what state you live in, there's certain rules in each state. And I've seen really horrible cases, and horrible meaning, grandmothers suing grandkids suing grandparents, things like that happening in a litigious sense because things were not just put in place as a plan. So it's not scary. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. You do want to work with a professional, and you want to sort of bring in all of your people, whether it's your CPA, your financial planner, your estate attorney, bring those people together as early as when. We can get into this in the future. You and I are talking if this question comes up, but when you're at your first job, when you sign up for your first set of retirement benefits, you're already in the planning world. And then they work with you to, build their wealth in terms of real estate. You do need to make sure that estate planning is done. To not have it done is just a huge tumultuous spiral downward for the family and the heirs.
So what you're basically saying is it's never too early to start with some sort of estate planning.
Yeah. Think about it. At age 18, you are on your own. And though that might be a little aggressive and early to say have a will done, but if I was 18, or when I was 18, I did feel independent enough. I had a job. And if something were to happen to me, my parents couldn't then just, make a decision about what I needed for my health care because I'm 18 and I'm probably most likely not married then. So this idea that we have a lot of years in between when we're under our parents' domicile for most of us and when we go into that next phase of maybe having children or buying a house, there's a lot of things that we might want. And then as our world gets more complex and we have blended families and we have businesses that we run, it's really, really important to have it documented. I am not an estate planner. I am not an attorney, but on the financial side, all those things that you collect along the way, like your retirement benefits or insurance policies, you also want to make sure that things like your beneficiaries are correctly documented. We have seen some cases where someone got into a situation, they thought their partner had listed them as a beneficiary, and then everything went to the ex-wife. So, sometimes we watch an episode of Law and Order. There's my fun fact about me. I'm obsessed with all the old episodes. And you watch the show and you go, that could never happen. And it's ripped from the headlines. It is true. It is what happens on the daily. But my message to your audience is it doesn't have to be scary, and it doesn't have to be something that you need to do every year, but to get it done when you start to own property, work a job, and have put away some money for retirement.
Sure. So, Greta, which type of life events should trigger a review of your estate planning documents, insurance policies, owner, payer, beneficiaries, and retirement pension plans, and inheriting real estate?
We just brought up some of those. So I don't know many current relationships where maybe you'd want everything going to the exes. So something like divorce, marriage, birth of a child, birth of a grandchild. Also things like huge job changes, state changes might be time to update those benefits. If you're thinking about not retiring in the US, that might be a time to look at those benefit changes. And so it's kind of a fun question because there could be any life event, but the biggest ones we see are marriage, divorce, birth of a child, death of a family member, or inheritance. That might be a
So
time to look
major,
at all.
yeah, major life changes, really.
Yeah, which are also stressful
That is a
times.
trigger point.
Yeah. And those stressful times come and they kind of pass and life goes on. And then we get into this to-do list. I had a client the other day who she's allowed me to share this story. She's turning 61 and she's finally getting this all done. So she replied to an email of mine and said, I'm finally going to adult. I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's walk through all the things we need to do.
Awesome. So you've done some estate planning. Does this now mean you need a trust? How does one know what trust type?
We love social media for many things. I love my social media for if I want to find a paleo recipe not involving sweet potatoes. I love my social media when I'm looking up, developmental things for my child, things like that. Social media for your estate planning, let's put a huge disclaimer there. Maybe let's not follow on the social media platforms a celebrity or ex ball player with a 3-second video about what to do. So I'm getting a lot of this sent to me by clients saying this person on this social media platform is telling me to do XYZ, move everything into a trust. I hear that term or that phrase a lot. If I move everything to a trust, then I can't be taxed. That's not true. You still have layers and there's so many different styles of trusts. So trusts are just the vehicle in which the language is very clear of how you want your assets or other things like business interest dispersed upon death or for your heirs. So that language is just what the trust is. It's almost like a shell of your wishes that is very clearly followed in the future for disbursement of assets. So it's not about just moving everything into a trust or out of a trust. It's using that specific trust for a specific reason. So the messaging here is stay away from social media, use it for your recipes and your workouts, but maybe not for this type of thing. Hire a professional, and that professional is going to be a combination of your planner and your estate attorney.
Awesome. I thought I could just simply name children as joint owners of my assets. Are there any concerns with this?
Well, naming your children as joint owners of your assets is sort of a way to think that you don't need to do any planning because that's just easy, right? However, when you outright name a child, and a lot of times you might be able to even name a minor child, and I think of like when the charity hits their goal and like someone's holding a great big check, you probably wouldn't see a lot of these places cutting a big check to a minor. So that could be an issue. So things might stay, in the court system in probate longer than you want them to or would have wanted them to upon your death. And secondly, just outright naming your children as joint owners then pushes all of your assets immediately to your children, and their creditors could just come right after those assets upon your death. So you want to instead do some, again, very not scary, power of attorney, outright different type of estate planning. Again, does not have to cost you a lot of money, does not have to be very sophisticated in the type of plan, but we don't want to see add-ons, adult or minor children to adults accounts, and accounts meaning like bank accounts, investment accounts, real estate. You kind of want to have you do want to have more of a plan.
Got it. Okay. So what are some easy to do protection items all the way up to more complex?
Easy, check all beneficiaries of everything. Log on to your work 401k, pull up any pensions that you have, pull up any inherited IRAs, pull up anything you have in that bucket of for retirement. Check to see where the beneficiary tab is. I had a job that I started at 18 and I named someone who is not in my life anymore. They're alive. They're just not someone I would want as a beneficiary. And I just found that myself, a couple years ago in updating that. So number one, pull up everything you have, life insurance policies, other types of policies that might leave behind some kind of benefit, update all the beneficiaries. And don't just stop there. Ask for proof from all of these carriers and institutions that the updates have actually been made, because there's a lot of human and AI error that could happen. So number one, from the simple, is updating all your beneficiaries and aggregating where everything is, whether it's a virtual box at home, a file, a system, or working with a specialist, all the way up to have you hired your team. And that includes a tax specialist, a financial planner, an estate attorney. And I'll leave you with this little tip. Something interesting to look up would be the sunsetting of the estate planning clause. So meaning December 31st, at the end of 2025, we have a fun little surprise coming in the estate planning world, meaning you could be worth a lot less money and fall into a whole thing where you owe the government a lot of money, or your heirs owe the government a lot of money if you don't do the plan. So it's going to happen overnight. It's going to change. We don't know when Congress will step in and make the changes for better for families and businesses, but something to be aware of is the sunsetting of the estate plan.
Got it. Thank you so much for that info. And I think it'll be a benefit to our audience to know, Greta, in your role as a financial specialist, where do you come in? How is it that you're able to help clients when they meet with you?
We are the catalyst for them to have their biggest, best, most amazing lives in front of them. So it might be that we are hired or brought in by the attorney that the client's working with to get them financially organized, to make sure their assets and their insurances are all the correct ones. So it might be just a simple review and then a sort of information back to them or their actual planners. This is what it should look like. Here's a better way to save some money. Here's a better way to repurpose some funds, all the way up to we're doing the full plan for those clients. And we're bringing in other types of specialists, maybe fee-based planners, maybe other investment brokers or wealth managers, people like yourself, to understand the real estate that the client's holding. So often it just starts with a review, a financial review of where they are, with a hyper focus on their investments and their insurance. And then it quite often sort of births itself into us being their point person for a lot of their decisions.
Got it. Beautiful. Okay, awesome. So we get to the lightning round of our session, where we get to know you on a human level, not just the financial specialist, Greta, which is awesome. You don't know what these questions are, so she's going to be caught a little off guard. Although some of these questions we've gone over during our networking group in the hot seat session, right? So you may have heard them already, but yeah, let's get to know you, Greta. What fictional place would you most like to go to?
Fictional. I mean, the first thing that comes up is that like Lion Witch wardrobe, the whole like walking through, opening. I love old things, antique stores and murder mysteries. So like, if I could like find something fictional, Lion Witch wardrobe, that would be my ideal place. Narnia.
Love it.
But
Love
with a
it.
murder.
You know what I think of? Reaching the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Right?
Yeah,
That just
there
came
you
to
go.
mind.
There you go.
Greta, what job would you be terrible at?
Terrible at anything involving like coordination. I think I waitressed once and like promptly spilled a whole tray of drinks on a table. And that's kind of interesting to a lot of people because I danced for many years. They're like, you're coordinated. I'm like, no. Being able to like stand on one leg, I can do. But like if you ask me to coordinate in a sports sense, I'm just going to get hit in the head with the ball. So anything sports, as much as I love watching Olympics, any team sports, horrible at. Anything to do with balance, believe it or not, horrible.
So when people come to you for help, what do they usually want help with? And this could be personally, it could be professionally.
Usually I would say 99% of our work is referral based. it's not often that people wake up and say, today's the day I'm going to insure my income. It just doesn't happen. It's usually someone in their life making an introduction. So a lot of times it starts with something as simple as their health insurance. And on a personal level, I'm very open about how my husband and I spent 7 years in our journey to finally have a child. And that was something we were able to do. So we're very open about what we went through in that time. So I do get a lot of people calling me and asking me about reproductive rights and speaking to me about my personal journey because I'm very open about it. So often it just starts with something around having a child in these last couple of years, which is a fun thing to share with people, or something around just they hear the word insurance and they call us about anything to do with insurance. I don't do anything with auto insurance, but somehow I know a lot about it.
Awesome. What are some small things that make your day better?
Oh, well, certainly waking up to my toddler's language skills just becoming absolutely phenomenal each day, though she does refer to a calculator as a regulator. So I guess that could be something.
Well, it
I guess
it could be a
calculator.
regulator.
Yeah, she has an old school, like I don't know if I'm aging myself, but I remember having to buy those expensive calculators for calculus class in school, and it was like a
Uh-huh.
$200 calculator. Where are we coming up with this money in school? Um, so she has one of those that she carries around and she refers to it as her regulator. So that will bring a smile to my day. My Bernedoodle, who when we got her from a shelter, we were told she was a mini. She's 44 pounds. I don't think she's so mini, but if you say the word squirrel, that can make your day because she can lose her mind trying to find a squirrel. And just, getting that referral, to bring it back to business for a second, when someone's like, I was really scared to handle this and you made it entertaining or fun or easy, it wasn't so scary with you, that can bring a smile to my face as well.
Love it. And last question, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Someone told me you can work for security or you can work for freedom. If you work for security, you'll have a great job, you'll have a great life, you'll never really get to freedom. If you work for freedom, you might get to security and have both, but it's not going to be
Ooh,
like work-life balance every day. You're going to have to go for it and really put yourself out there. So yeah.
that is awesome and very different. I love it. It's not your cliche, right? Like it's very, very empowering.
And then those days
Awesome.
when it's
Love it.
hard, those days when you're, technical issues. I don't know if we all experienced that last Friday with the tech outrage. There's those days where you just kind of feel, what did you do to your calendar? Oh my gosh. So sometimes some days I go, I've been talking all day, but have I done anything productive? And so it's just kind of recapturing when you're in business for yourself, how hard it is. And I really acknowledge that even for you. And for everyone that is out there, making it happen so they have freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This was awesome, Greta. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your expertise with us. How can our followers and our audience reach you?
I think I'm the only Greta Zutz in the world. And if there's another one, it's just me and some account probably forgot to sign out of. But you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn as a platform. You can contact me directly through Center for Wealth Preservation. We are a New York-based firm. I am a full-time Florida resident, so I'm down in Florida most 99% of the time. So easily LinkedIn is the best way to find me, or through my firm, Center for Wealth Preservation.
Love it. Awesome. Thanks again. And I look forward to doing this again with you soon.
Thank you, Nordis. Have a great day.
You too.